Well, hello everyone and welcome to The Agenda. Chris O's out and I'm in. My name's Rob Waters and it's a pleasure to be here with the Herald Sun's Jay Clark after a magnificent comeback win from the mighty Magpies.
It's great to have you, Rob, because it was some performance at the weekend. In fact, you'd have to say that was one of the gutsiest and most brave wins of the season from any team. I mean, to come back from, 24 points down in the last quarter, Rob, with two men down on the bench, as we know, Darcy Moore and Travis Varco as well. I thought it showed just huge ticker and investment from the playing group. Clearly they're playing for the coach. I mean, that's the elephant in the room. We can't be ignored. And totally beat up West Coast in the on-ball room, in the engine room, in that second half. You know, down on rotations, it was a magnificent effort. And we know Treloar and Adams were huge in that effort, and Grundy as well. I want to highlight some of the lesser lights. I reckon that was Will Hoskin-Elliott's best game for the club. Yep. I reckon that was Jack Crisp, best game for the club. Hoskin-Elliott in particular, that third quarter, couple of hardball gets, and that's a question mark probably we've had on Will Hoskin-Elliott, and a beautiful delivery to De Goey to set up one of his goals as well. So, look, those two guys in particular, against the odds. Elliot Yeo could have sealed this for West Coast, but the Pies hung in there, and it was just an unbelievable effort, really.
Well, and for me, it was a breakout game for a young man who's had a lot going on this year in Jordan De Goey. He's a high draft pick. There's plenty of sort of hopes and optimism about him in the future, but we probably haven't seen it to the extent that we did yesterday. That was an unbelievably good performance. 20 disposals, 4 goals, the clutch tackle he made that got him the free kick on young Duggan, and then the perfect pass to Elliott for him to put the Pies back in front. For Jordan De Goey, he had a really good game against the Hawks about a month ago, and he's backed that up. And there's sort of a bit of a discussion point about where's his best footy, where's his best value to the team. Does he play as that high half forward he did as a kid, or should he be sent into the guts?
Well, we've been calling for him. Christo and I have been saying more midfield time, really expose him to the centre clearance work. But yesterday with Moore down, he had to basically become that target, and he grabbed this game, I think, by the throat. Now, I think he can become an elite talent, Jordan De Goey, a number 5 pick. And yesterday was the sort of step I think we've been waiting to see for him for some time. Nathan Buckley praised him after the match, and a breakout match. You are right. Where he's going to play, if Pendlebury comes back in, you know, does he stay forward or should he go back into the centre bounce? It's an interesting one. Maybe he just splits the time, but you're spot on there. Alex Fasolo, we can't ignore this story either.
Wasn't it magnificent?
Rob,
it was absolutely magnificent.
He's crept up on us. I think he's kicked 16 goals in his last 7 games, but you have to go back to the midpoint of the year. Very bravely put up his hand, stepped away from the game to treat a mental health issue. Had the week off against Fremantle, the win over there, and came back. And with some treatment for his mental health problem, is feeling a lot better. He spoke to Triple M after the game with such... it was really raw, it was honest, and talked about the dark places that he'd been to, Rob, in the past couple of years, and particularly about 6 months ago, and just lauded the club for the support they'd shown him. Now, for mine, his decision to publicly put his hand up has changed the game for everyone. We've seen Travis Cloke do the same thing. We've seen Thomas Boyd do the same thing. It's just a courageous thing. And when he nailed that set shot yesterday to basically seal the win, I got goosebumps. I sat there and got goosebumps because you see all the Collingwood players run to him, sensing how important and special this moment was, and just one of my favourite moments for the year, Rob. It was impressive.
Yeah, it was a very mature thing for him to do a few weeks ago, and it's obviously freed him up, lifted the weight, and away he goes. It's terrific.
What about next week? Because the Pies come up against Adelaide, now the premiership favourites. It doesn't get any easier.
It doesn't get any easier, but 2 in a row now for Collingwood. The question will be around selection. They've got some injury issues, obviously, and then there's the talent that is going to confront them from the opposition. Small forwards have been a problem for the Magpies this year, and Adelaide's got a couple of the Jets there, and Betts and Cameron,
so
and that whole forward.
Maynard to Betts, probably.
Maybe.
Yeah. Not easy.
Crisp might get a chance there.
What happens with Goldsack? Because Josh Kennedy had a bit of a day out at the weekend, kicked 6 goals. We got Walker, they got Jenkins, they got some handy big blokes. Does Reid stay forward, do you think?
Well, that depends on the Darcy Moore situation. We understand there's a an injury query, obviously, over Darcy, but it has a big impact on the side, doesn't it? And because it sort of limits what they can do with Reid, they might want to send him back, but who else have they got to be a forward target?
I think the way that it has worked in the past 2 weeks, I think Reid's got to stay forward, and Tommy Langdon, Jeremy Howe, Tyson Goldsack, they just probably have to play a little bit smaller in defence. Pendles is in a race against time. Been in a lot of pain with that finger. We know how extraordinary his recuperative powers are. Travis Varco definitely done for the rest of the season, though, with the shoulder and the concussion. So Darcy Moore still in doubt, and hopefully Pendles can get up.
Hopefully it's okay for Jock and the Journo.
Exactly right, Rob. Thanks for listening. Now, Monday Moments, you love doing this every week, Rob, and we spoke about Alex Vassallo. You've got an absolute ripper here.
Well, this was just absolutely fabulous on a number of fronts. The finish for Alex Vassallo, set up by this really good decision to go to Barrass there, lay the tackle. He just hung on. I reckon the Magpie Army had a bit to do with that as they really urged him on. Then the kick into Reid, who gets the free kick. Probably a little fortunate, but by God, we'll take it. And then Reid and Vassallo do very, very well to separate enough, milk some time off the clock, give Vassallo an easier shot at goal. Didn't use all these 30 seconds, calmly went back and just banged home the sealer for a famous Collingwood victory against the West Coast Eagles. And don't the Maggies fans love it. Good on you, Alex. Well played. And that's a relieved coach there. And Alex Vassallo will treasure that for a long, long time.
Yeah, moment to remember forever, really. What a beautiful technique, a set shot. Like, he's had his goal-kicking issues earlier in the year. He never looked like missing that. And then the interview with Triple M after the game said, I was never going to miss. I've kicked that 100 times, a million times, meaning harking back to the backyard in the schoolyard, you know, where you're kicking that goal to win the game.
28 for the season now for Alex Vassallo. He's heading to a 40-goal season. That's a really significant performance.
Career best and equal leading goal kicker. Now, I've gone a bit more left field, Rob, with my Monday Moment at the moment. Right. We know Tommy Phillips, the young Collingwood wingman, can be energetic and bubbly, maybe a little bit cheeky. Now, look for him here in the stands, of course, as Daniel Wells has his set shot on goal. So Silky Wells in the third quarter, just lining up the set shot from the boundary line. He's starting around. Look who's in the background, little Tommy Phillips. Now, listen, Wellsy, I'll tell you what, mate, there's no wind in here, so just kick straight down the middle, and I reckon this will go. Wellsy goes, shut up, Tommy, I'm trying to kick. I'm trying to concentrate here, mate. So the little advice over the boundary line from Tommy Phillips in the beanie there. I like that. Wellsy maybe didn't have too much of him at that point, but I like that, Tommy. That is good thinking, mate. Bit of advice from over the boundary line.
He's just asking, do you want to join me on my next walk around India?
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, he had 40 possessions in the VFL, Tommy Phillips. I think, was that a couple of goals, 10 tackles as well. So he is a big chance to come in for that game against Adelaide next week as well.
He is a lock to play next week, Tom Phillips. That just about wraps it up, Joe.
Robbie, you've been a star. I want you here every week. If that's what Collingwood's going to deliver, mate, I think you are the inspiration.
Well, thanks very much. I might stay around for the next couple. Let's see how we go. Good on you, Joe.
Thanks,
Jay Clark from the Herald Sun. I'm Rob Borders, and that's been the agenda as we look ahead to Collingwood's next big game, which is next Sunday against Adelaide. See you next time.